What's going on, guys? This is Burrs. I want to talk to you today about a series I'm going to have on my channel. This is what I'm going to be calling a 2013 sleeping bag clinic, or sleeping bag testing clinic, something along the lines of that. And what it is it's a concept I had a few years ago, which is testing sleeping bags in the wild. Now, you see a lot of reviews on YouTube, you see a lot of reviews in general, and it's people making reviews. You know, half of them you can throw them out because, you know, the people don't use it very much, they don't test it. So what I came up with was an idea and a concept 2 years ago, and I did a few videos on, you know, testing sleeping bags and what that was, you know, all encompassed. And what that was me taking the sleeping bag outside, taking the thermometer outside and standing out there for 10 minutes, kind of acclimating myself to the cold. And then for 10 minutes I would, you know, get into the bag for 10 minutes and see how fast I'd warm up. It kind of gave me a baseline for which I can, you know, measure other bags. You know, and it was in different degrees, different temperatures. So, you know, 30 degrees, 25 degrees, I think was the coldest. But it was a concept I have, and it's something I really enjoy doing as far as getting actual data out there. You can't really, you know, tell someone if this bag is good or that bag is good, you know, but if you throw a number next to it and say, you know, I was in this sleeping bag and I was 70 degrees after 10 minutes, you know, or after 30 minutes, you know, I was still 70 degrees. You know, I got in this sleeping bag and after 10 minutes it was 70 degrees, but after half an hour, I was down to 65 degrees, you know, in temperature in a sleeping bag. I can actually show those, you know, curves and what the sleeping bag's doing by going out and actually using, you know, thermometers and sensors and all kinds of, you know, stuff, just basic stuff, and showing actually, you know, what the sleeping bag does in the wild, so to speak. So what are we going to do this year when it comes to sleeping bag tests? It's basically going to be the same test, and let me explain what it is. So basically, I got the same clothing as I had before. I have the same Under Armour, you know, 3/4 zip. I have a beanie that I wear. I'm wearing the same layer of clothing underneath, jeans, same wool socks. I have the exact same clothing on that I had the last time. I'm going to be using the same pad I had last time, which is a Thermarest Ridge Rest, which is just a foam pad. So that lays on the ground. So as far as the equipment goes and what I'm wearing, we got the exact same stuff. Now, as far as the test goes, you know, what is the test? Let me explain it the easiest I can. Basically, I have the pad outside. Then what I do is I go outside, I take the sleeping bag, the thermometer is already out there, I take myself outside, and I'll stand out there for 10 minutes, not doing anything, just standing there, acclimating myself to the temperature, because when you get down to the bare, you know, bones of using sleeping bags and using, you know, things that are going to warm you up. I've even done this test with wool blankets in the past. You know, you're going to be a little bit chilled, okay? You're going to be in the environment, you're going to be cold already, you're going to have a chill to you already, okay? It's not like I'm going to be doing this test and I'm going to be walking right from the inside of my house outside and doing the test. So I'm going to acclimate myself, get myself chilled off to where I'm a little bit cold, which is going to be, you know, a 10-minute period. I'm going to get in the bag. I'm going to get in the bag, take the thermometer, put the thermometer in the bag with me. I have it at the same place every time, which is right here, kind of on my belly. And that's kind of like the middle of the bag, so I get a middle of the bag temperature. And then what I'm going to do is, you know, lay there for 10 minutes, and we can, you know, because I have a second video camera on the actual temperature outside, and I have a video camera on the thermometer temperature reading on the inside of the bag. And what we're going to do is just watch those and kind of, you know, we'll talk about, you know, what did the bag feel like, what did the bag demonstrate as far as, you know, its numbers, you know, every bag. You know, for the most part, you know, I just did this test. This is the first video, but I actually did just do a test with a bunch of bags, including this Sierra Design Mobile Mummy. And, you know, what temperatures started out? Well, they all started between 37 and 39 degrees as far as the actual thermometer temperature. So the starting point was within 3 degrees of each other as far as the thermometer goes. So if the thermometer, which is metal, is within 3 degrees of itself with starting the test with each of the bags, I know myself is going to be, you know, within 3 degrees probably as well, as far as the external temperature of items I'm wearing, etc. So then what I do is I come inside, we'll run the videos, we'll take a look and examine kind of what that bag demonstrated throughout that period of time, you know, how, and then what I do is I write down my notes as far as how it felt. Some bags are going to kind of feel a little warmer on the inside, some are going to feel a little bit chilled, some are going to start out a little chilly, some are going to start out, you know, really, they're going to warm up real fast. There's a lot of characteristics that come with sleeping bags, you know, and the really cool thing that I actually find about this is using a sleeping bag that's super expensive, like this Valandre Swing 500, which is, you know, relatively expensive, and you know, the Sierra Designs Mobile Mummy, which is, you know, a little bit kind of more moderately expensive, you know, and then comparing it to something, you know, like the synthetic Mountain Hardwear, you know, Pinal, which is about $80. So, you know, taking different bags, you know, especially ones that are around the same temperature rating, and, you know, putting them in the environment and seeing what they, you know, demonstrate as far as keeping you warm is something that really interests me. I really hold companies to, you know, a certain standard, and, you know, when you get something and it really doesn't perform, you know, it's something that should be, you know, pointed out, if you will. So on top of doing sleeping bags, we're also going to be doing blankets. You know, I have Polish, Israeli, Italian, Czech. I have all kinds of wool blankets that I have, Bulgarian, and I also have, you know, this Kifaru Woobie. So we're going to be testing this stuff as well. You know, if you got this in your car and you're going to try to keep warm with it, say in an emergency, you know, how warm are you going to be inside of this? You know, after half an hour, how warm are you actually going to be, you know, wrapped up inside of a Woobie, wrapped up inside of a wool blanket? So, you know, this isn't just solely sleeping bags. It's basically devices that can keep you warm. The other thing I'm going to do is I have a Sea Summit sleeping bag liner, and this is supposed to add 15 degrees to the inside temperature of the sleeping bag. Perfect for the testing we're doing, because, you know, I have a baseline on what that, you know, that bag will rate at the temperature I'm at, and then I'm going to add in the liner and see if that temperature comes up. So, you know, as far as having baseline temperatures and having all this data, it's really cool, you know, when you apply certain things like the sleeping bag liner, to actually see if it does bump up the temperature at all. So wearing the same clothes, doing the same thing for each sleeping bag. You know, I do have a little bit of, you know, research scientist background, as far as, you know, I was a young man, if you will, a younger man. You know, that's one of the things I did for a job. That was one of the first jobs I had. I was a research assistant to a scientist. So I have a little bit of a scientific background as far as research, you know, quality assurance, etc. So keeping these, you know, tests, kind of having a baseline and playing off of that baseline is what I'm going to be doing. Looking for, you know, comparisons, and we know what's kind of interesting between all is what we're going to be doing in these tests. So look for a lot of these throughout the winter time. I already have 4 bag tests in, as far as, you know, the 30-degree temperature. So I'm going to be releasing those in the future here, probably within the next 2 weeks, as far as I can get the videos edited and done. So look for those in the future. If you guys have sleeping bags that you're really interested in, maybe there's something you're looking to buy, maybe there's something that you you have bought but you haven't used yet in really cold temperatures, you know, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Hopefully maybe I'll have that sleeping bag already. You know, there's what, the Tactical Assault Systems T1 bag, which is a more of a tactical bag, rated at 41 degrees, you know, made of Primaloft. I'm going to test that out as well. A lot of sleeping bags I have, you know, North Face Elkhorn 0 degree synthetic bag. I've already done a video on that 2 years ago. So there's a lot of sleeping bags I have that I can play off of and compare off of. But if you guys have some that you're interested in seeing the results of, go ahead and put it in the comments, or you know, personal message me, and I'll see what I can do. So again, if you guys have questions or anything, let me know. And until next time, later.